Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. We're going to be talking about speaking English fluently today.
Awesome.
Everyone wants to be able to just ditch the textbook and just speak confidently, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we found this really cool article by EF.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 10 steps to speaking English fluently.
10 steps, huh?
Thought we'd dive in.
Cool.
One of the things that they emphasize right off the bat is
Yeah.
daily speaking practice.
Right.
Even if it's just for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet that's in there.
Yeah.
It's got to be consistent, right?
Yeah, they even say like talk to yourself.
Well, and there's a good reason for that.
Oh, really?
Neurologically, like when you're speaking out loud,
Yeah.
even if you're just talking to yourself, you're still like activating those speech production centers.
Interesting.
And you're training your brain to think in English.
Oh, wow.
So you're not translating in your head. You're
Yeah.
actually just like thinking in the language.
That's a good point. I remember when I was learning Italian,
Yeah.
I would always get caught up in trying to translate everything perfectly,
Yeah.
and I would just freeze up.
Right.
I couldn't even say anything.
Yeah, you overthink it.
Yeah.
So this article has some really cool tips for kind of getting over that mental block.
Okay.
One thing that really stood out to me was like narrating your daily activities
Oh, that's interesting.
in English.
Okay, so
Right.
Right.
Brushing your teeth in the morning,
Right.
making breakfast, whatever you're doing.
I'm putting on my shoes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Walking the dog.
That's fun.
Like just kind of getting used to using those everyday words
Yeah.
in a natural setting.
That's a good idea.
You're not like memorizing a vocabulary list. You're
Wow.
actually using the language.
You're just like living your life in English, sort of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you don't even need someone else to talk to.
Oh, right. For that.
That's cool. I like that.
They also talk about like practicing in front of the mirror,
Oh, yeah.
which I've totally done.
Me too. It's a little awkward,
It's a little weird.
but it really helps you kind of be more aware
Yeah.
of how you sound and how you look when you're speaking.
Yeah, for sure.
And they talk about listening to native speakers too.
Right.
Like really immersing yourself
Yeah.
in English
Right.
through like podcasts and music and movies.
Yeah.
But they go a step further.
Oh, okay.
They talk about actually like mimicking
Oh, really?
the sounds and rhythms of native speech,
Huh.
which is something that like kids do naturally when
Yeah.
they're learning their first language.
Yeah.
But as adults, we kind of forget to do that.
Right.
But it's so effective
Oh,
for
yeah.
picking up on those like subtle nuances
Mm-hmm.
of pronunciation and intonation.
So it's not just about understanding the words.
Right.
It's about sounding like a native speaker.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's not about erasing your accent completely.
Right.
It's about developing an accent that is clear and understandable.
I see.
And the more you listen,
And mimic,
Mhm.
the more those sounds and rhythms will just become second nature to you.
Yeah, for sure. They talk about finding content you actually enjoy.
Right.
If you love true crime podcasts, listen to those.
Right.
If you're like a classic rock fan, crank up those tunes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's about making language learning enjoyable
for sure.
because you're much more likely to stick with it if you're having fun.
Definitely.
They also talk about the importance of like thinking in English.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
This is where I struggle.
Yeah, me too. How do you actually make that switch?
It's a process for sure.
Yeah.
The article suggests starting small.
Okay.
Like just start by labeling things around you in English.
Okay.
Like instead of thinking table,
Right.
think table.
Table.
It sounds simple,
Mhm.
but it's a really powerful way to kind of start rewiring your brain
Oh, okay.
to think in the language.
So you're just like looking at a table and thinking table.
Yeah. All day long.
That's funny. And then as you get more comfortable with that,
Yeah.
you can start like narrating your thoughts in English.
Oh, okay.
So instead of thinking I'm hungry,
Right.
think I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
It's a gradual process, but with practice,
Yeah.
you'll find that you're able to think and respond in English
Right.
more and more effortlessly.
Cool. So it's like you're building up those mental muscles.
That's a great way to put it.
The more you do it, the stronger they get.
Exactly. And the article also touches on like not being afraid to make mistakes,
Oh, yeah.
which is so important.
I make mistakes all the time.
We all do.
Yeah.
But the key is to view those mistakes as opportunities to learn.
Right.
The article actually points out that our brains learn more effectively from mistakes than from successes.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's because when we make a mistake,
Uh-huh.
our brains have to work harder
Yeah.
to figure out the correct way to do something.
Right.
And that extra effort actually strengthens those neural connections.
That's cool.
So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and speak, even if you're not 100% sure
Yeah.
that you're saying everything perfectly.
You're going to make mistakes.
You are.
That's just part of the process.
It is.
And you know what they say?
What's that?
You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet.
That's a good one.
And another thing that they talk about is,
Yeah.
especially at the beginning, it's better to focus on simplicity
Right.
rather than complexity.
Make it simple.
So instead of trying to impress everyone with your big, fancy vocabulary,
Right.
just keep it clear and concise.
Exactly.
Okay.
Use short, simple sentences.
Right.
Don't get bogged down in complex grammar structures. Just focus on getting your message across
Okay.
clearly and effectively.
Because at the end of the day, communication is the goal.
That's right.
You just want to be understood.
Exactly.
And then as you get more comfortable speaking, you can naturally start to incorporate more complex language.
Absolutely.
But in the beginning, keep it simple.
Keep it clear?
Keep it flowing.
Yep.
This is all such great advice.
Good stuff.
I'm like ready to go out and practice my English now.
Me too.
But we've got a lot more to unpack.
We do.
So stay tuned.
Yes.
We'll be right back after a quick break
Sounds good.
to delve into some more strategies for unlocking your fluency.
Can't wait.
See you in a few.
All right. So we were talking about thinking in English before the break,
Right.
how important that is.
Yeah.
But even with all the practice in the world,
Yeah.
you need a way to kind of track your progress and really like put your skills to use.
That's true. How do you do that?
Well, they talk about setting realistic goals.
Okay.
So instead of aiming for like fluency overnight,
Right.
they suggest breaking down your learning journey
Yeah.
into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay, so like what kind of steps?
So instead of saying, I want to speak English fluently in 3 months,
Yeah.
you might set a goal like, I want to be able to hold a basic conversation about my hobbies in English by next month.
That's a good idea.
And those smaller goals can be really motivating
Yeah.
because each time you achieve one, it reinforces your belief in yourself.
Right.
And it encourages you to keep going.
It's like leveling up in a video game.
Exactly.
You get that little like dopamine hit
Total.
and you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. And then you're like, okay, I can do the next level.
Right. Exactly.
So as you're working towards those goals,
yeah.
they also emphasize the importance of like actively seeking out
Okay.
opportunities to practice speaking.
So it's not enough to just study grammar rules and like
Right.
memorize vocabulary.
Not enough to just have it in your head.
You have to actually use it.
You have to use it.
Okay.
So they suggest a few ways to that.
Okay.
One is to find a language partner,
Right.
someone you can regularly practice speaking with.
I've heard of those language exchange apps and websites.
Yeah. Have you read any of those?
I haven't, but I've heard good things.
They can be really cool.
Yeah.
It's a great way to connect with people from all over the world
That's awesome.
who are also learning English.
Yeah.
And you can chat online. You can practice speaking over video calls.
Oh,
You can even meet up in person if you're in the same area.
that's so cool. It's like
Yeah.
you're getting this practice, but you're also like
Right.
expanding your horizons, meeting new people.
Absolutely. It's like a built-in support system
Right.
and a way to kind of experience different cultures at the same time.
I love that.
Yeah. And if finding a language partner isn't really feasible,
Okay.
they also suggest like joining language groups or conversation clubs.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of communities have those,
Right.
and it can be a great way to kind of meet other learners, practice your speaking skills in a more relaxed and supportive environment.
Because it takes the pressure off a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone's there to learn.
Everybody's in the same boat.